Welcome back, everybody. Another episode of FitQuest. Today we're here with Jake Farrow. He's a trainer here at Rome Fitness. He's also a certified strength conditioning specialist. He's also a bookworm. He knows everything about training. So we're coming to him with a question from Tom from Arlington. So whenever Tom overhead presses, he gets a pain in his shoulder during and after. Nothing crazy, no structural damage. It's just really annoying to him. Is there something that he's doing wrong?
Alright, so whenever we think about overhead pressing or pressing in general, the first thing we have to kind of consider is past. So if you were previously or currently are an overhead athlete that spends a lot of time overhead, these are tennis players, baseball players, swimmers who did a lot of freestyle and butterfly. They've already spent a lot of time in the overhead position, placed probably a lot of stress previously on that shoulder joint musculature. So maybe we don't need them overhead pressing. You kind of have to weigh the risk to reward. So those kind of people, I tend to say, just stay away from the overhead pressing. You can do other head things. If not, you have to basically clear yourself. Next thing to do is clear yourself for pressing in general. That's bench pressing, overhead pressing. So we're gonna have Chris do what's called an impingement test. So if Chris is testing his right shoulder, he's gonna take his hand, reach across his body like this, and grab the humeral head here, and then he's just gonna bring his elbow up. Now what we're looking for is Chris to get past this 90-degree plane right here. If you can do that pain-free, you're good to go ahead and bench press and do other pressing movements. If you find yourself getting right here and you're getting caught, or you find yourself in a lot of pain right here, you got a lot more problems than we can just kind of cover in this video. It might be a good time to go see a doctor or a physical therapist. You got some underlying issues. So the next thing that we're gonna do for overhead pressing is make sure that you have good scapular range of mobility. Your scapula is your shoulder blade right here, and that needs to rotate upward in order for you to get into a safe overhead position. So what we're gonna have Chris do, very basic test. His feet are gonna be shoulder width. If you look at his body and spine, he's in a neutral position. His head is also neutral, so a lot of people do the mistake of keeping the head either too forward or back. Chris, show him extension flexion. You don't want that. Now show him lumbar extension. So the other thing is some people kind of compensate by bringing their hips forward and going to the lumbar extension. You don't want that. You place a lot of stress on your lower back that way. So in the neutral position right here, and this is flexion. So this is if he's kind of caving down. To get down like that, you don't want that either. So you got to have someone watch or watch yourself in the mirror. He's in a neutral position just like this, arms at his sides. And he's going to slowly raise his arms, thumbs facing up, directly up and overhead. See how he's keeping his head in neutral position? Now his head's gonna come forward just a little bit, but not excessively, all right? So Chris has got a good shoulder mobility. His scapula is able to rotate upward, doesn't have any restriction in the left, so go ahead and come down. So the problem that we see a lot is if you can get right here, you're probably safe to go overhead pressing. A lot of people will compensate with their head and cervical. They'll do cervical extension, so this is lumbar flexion. So Chris is going to do cervical extension where he kind of goes forward to cheat himself forward to kind of give him the appearance that he's able to get into this overhead position. But this places a lot of stress on your cervical spine, the upper part. So you don't want to be doing that. So again, very simple test, and if you're having some pain, we can go over in another video of some possible fixes of what you can do. But basically, run this test for yourself in a mirror, have a buddy watch you, see if you can get straight up into the overhead position. As you can see, I'm barely there. So if I was testing for myself, I'd say go ahead and avoid it for myself. I have too many previous shoulder injuries. It's just not worth it, all right? So in the next video, we'll try to answer some of the things that you can do to hopefully clear up some of that tissue immobilization to help you get into a proper overhead position.
Cool, so Jake gave you two tests. Shoulder, raise the elbow, and then get the arms all the way back. If you can go through those pain-free, you're safe to overhead press. So I think Tom actually needs to take some time, maybe go see a doctor because he has an underlying issue.
Right.
We'll be back next week for another episode of FitQuest. Thanks, Jake, for coming on.
No problem. Thanks, guys, for having me.